Yeah, let's start.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back in studio to yet another happy hour show. Cheers, everybody. Welcome, Patrick Hexline. Have not seen you in a long time. Good to see you, my friend.
That's true.
And
Yes. I
Dipcatcher,
am cool
fresh
to be back.
off a stream of his own, just literally just kind of hopped over here in the virtual realm. So welcome back to you, my friend.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. And we will be shortly be rated by DJ Cryptomatic on Twitch. So he's coming up here, and I'm sure we'll see him in the chat. Yeah, I guess since I haven't talked to especially you, Patrick, what you've been up to? Where are you? How you been? I know you were in Vegas, but I don't think you're there anymore. So give us an update as we get people into the chat here.
Yeah, so in the last couple of months, what we did, first of all, we planned the first ever crypto golf tournament in Las Vegas, and we had a blast there. So it was on Monday, Labor Day. It was extremely hot, but still, like, everybody came out. One group of golfers even played like both rounds, the AM round and the PM round. And we had the live stream going the whole day, and lots of influencers were there. I missed you there, Cabana. In
Yeah,
Vegas.
I know. I'm sorry. I've done a lot of Hex events, and I had another travel trip coming up, I guess, next week, and that might actually get just wrecked by the hurricane that'll hit Florida. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely we have another event that we'll talk about later in the show, Hex event that I'm excited about. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing you again and joining all the Hex fam. And anything else while we're talking about events?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I lost connection.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying I might my travel plans might get wrecked next week. So I've been traveling quite a bit, and Vegas was an unfortunate sacrifice, but there will be plenty more, and I know we'll talk about an event later in the show as well. So
Yeah. I mean, as you can see a little bit in my background, it's pretty cloudy out there. It's raining here as well. I'm in South America. The city behind me is Medellin. And yeah, after Vegas, I came back here since the end of the tour, of the American tour, of the HEX 5555 tour. I am, yeah, basically stationed here in Colombia. I was visiting my family in Austria 2 times this year as well. And yeah, what we are doing and planning, our future Hex events, like Hex birthday party, like Hex cruise, where we will talk about a little later today as well. And yeah, that's about it.
all right, and we have Dipcatcher down here. Oh man, I need service like that. Like where's
Orale.
What is that?
what kind of beer is it?
I saw it at the grocery store and I just had to get it. Just look at that guy.
It just looks like a fun
Okay.
beverage to have, really. So yeah.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, so you've been like slightly busy with some things. I mean, launches aside of multiple tokens at the same time, and then live coding on stream and things like that. I mean, you literally hopped off your own stream to get over here. So it's been like a busy few weeks for you, and you're wrapping up, I guess, this Monday. Is that right?
With the 21-day minting phase for Team, Base, Trio, Lucky, and Desi wraps up Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So basically when the day ticks over from the 26th to the 27th UTC time. So yeah, it's been a blur, and been having a great time though. I kind of wish it wasn't ending.
Well, I guess it has to end sometime, but it would be nice, I guess, to go on a little further just to max out the smaller pools, I guess.
Yeah,
but Desi's just absolutely destroying it. So
yeah, which it makes sense. I think a lot of people they're hoping for like what happened with MAXI to run it back, and then also, I mean, just like it kind of speaks to the risk appetite of people in Hex right now. Like they want that high yield, they want that high mover, they want the thing that has the chance to have a screaming premium, and it's just kind of the nature of it right now.
Yeah, and in a bear market, I mean, it's like people are looking for, not just things to do, but like something that I guess exhibits yield seems, safer, top of mind. It's like, okay, and just in like traditional markets, like people go for dividends and, that passive kind of income that they don't have to think about as much. And I know crypto is a little bit more volatile, but still it's like another layer onto HEX, which I think should see added volume and a pickup here as we come out of the bear, whenever that may be. So having this extra incentive, excitement layer on top of it, and almost a peace of mind layer, if you will, to max out your yield is should be really exciting for a lot of people, especially smaller players who, don't necessarily get those, bigger bonuses to pull together. I think a lot of the communities rally around that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I mean, because right now, like across all the pools, we have 352 million HEX pooled, and the MAXI stake was 294 million. So also at that time, the HEX price was like 12 cents.
Yep.
Compared to where it is now. So
where are you at with Desi right now?
So Desi is at 224 million.
Do you think we surpass MAXI?
I think we could. I mean, the last
rush
weekend kind of always heats up, and we're about to kick that off now. So I do think that I think it has a really strong chance. I mean, even like when you look at the chart, there's a chart on the dashboard that shows like the just kind of the as the pools grow, it's just like a line chart, and as soon as they hit that 150 million mark, it just like ratcheted up. And so, I think it definitely can. And yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, if you think about just kind of the other things happening in the ecosystem, it's like with MAXI now compared to like the situation now, during the MAXI launch, there's actually a lot less you could do with your HEX in general. Like there was not all these other coins, these like competitors, like these things like, I mean, Hedron was brand new at that time. And also, I mean, the Icosa system sucked up a lot of liquid HEX into that whole thing. And so, there's in some cases kind of less HEX available right now. And, just kind of the timing of it all. So it's I'm pretty amazed that the numbers are that much higher than MAXI, just considering like all the other things that are going on. And also, I mean, it's a deep bear market, and that means low demand. And so like, people, are just kind of more apathetic around things, maybe a little bit less in HEX just because like there's so much going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty blown away with the participation. And even with team like that's,
Yeah, Patrick and I were chatting about team in the green room, and just the bang up job that's doing. I mean, wow, like what is it, 60 now maybe?
Yeah, 66
million. Yeah. And like before it started, I was like, oof. So if we get like 20% of all the MAXI, that would be great, and it's already like 25 or something percent or 24. So a lot of MAXI like in the mystery box, a lot of MAXI getting burned, a lot of MAXI for the rebate, which makes like the team token more valuable. So I like a lot. I like the stats a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, and it's interesting how like our like a big driver that like about 1/6 of the total team was minted by the Hedron deployer, and so
like the 5-5-5-5-5-5. Yeah.
Well, they did that, and then the day later they added like another like 4,600.
Oh yeah,
million.
I did see that. Yep.
Yeah, and then they minted 2 million base, 1 million trio, 1 million lucky, and 2 million desi. And then supplied liquidity in the MAXI. They put 1 million MAXI and 4 million HEX in the MAXI pool, and then 1 million team and just under 1 million MAXI in the team MAXI liquidity pool. So they've like literally checked off all the boxes of like a card carrying Maximus team member there. Like pretty amazing to see that. And considering how much, because at due to the Watsa launch, they had procured like almost 10% of the total MAXI. And then now half of that has gone, roughly half of it has kind of found its way back into the MAXI ecosystem, through that. But, now they're like the dominant team minter by far, by like 5 times as much as the next runner up.
I think according to one of the Maximus tweets, they shall now inherit the earth, right? If they minted all across.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well deserved too.
Do you think like over this last weekend we will see more liquid team getting actively staked?
I think
because
so.
I mean it's a little weird, to look at this liquid team number because I don't know. It looks like as people don't know that if they don't stake their team, they don't get anything.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the first year is going to be the smallest earnings period ever because it's just one base stake and it's the first base stake. Like, who knows how large the base stake will be next year because, the base stake itself will grow. And then also that's like in a year from now, who knows what the market conditions will be. And just like that gives kind of the team members like a year to kind of prepare for like onboarding. And in between now and then, like think about how much HEX, especially from like year one, is coming unstaked, but in the next year, like this can be billions of new HEX that is now available. It's just currently locked up in existing stakes. So, this year is probably going to be a relatively slow year for teamer, provided that no one does any mysterious airdrops to team members or anything, but just like from the known income sources, this first year is probably maybe quite modest. And so, perhaps that, people are just, maybe going to try to trade or maybe try to provide liquidity or some other income producing activity with that team.
Dipcatcher, you might have the link to this. Brazology wants to know where can you see the stats. So I know there's a few websites.
Yeah. So the one that let me see. Okay. Team dashboard.
There you go. Goldkey's got it in the chat. Okay, cool. Awesome.
And it's also on
or you just go like team.maximus.cash.
Yeah, it's also on team.maximus.cash. It's like one of the menu options in there.
DGen Dougie wants to know how he can stake his team.
So you just go to team.maximus.cash and you go to the stake page and then you just enter the amount and then you click stake.
There you go. Hex Love, liquid team is for LP yield?
Yeah, it could be because like if, since the MAXI coin is, has like pretty strong just like year-on-year growth from the underlying asset and, as team kind of becomes more scarce and especially leading up into future years where the payout may be higher or maybe suddenly there's like a high, maybe suddenly there's like a new contract that someone in the team community just builds and deploys that introduces new income streams on different, in addition to the perpetual pools, like perhaps team may kind of be catalyzed also. So if team tracks the MAXI price pretty well, then that MAXI team pair, and if it's highly traded, a lot of trading volume, then that could be a very, in some cases that could outperform staking the team. And then as it, if it outperforms, then less people stake team and then the team payouts increase. And so it kind of reaches an equilibrium with like all the different ways that you can monetize your team. And so that's probably what we'll see. And maybe that's what a lot of people are doing with the liquid versus staking.
I mean, I personally would like to see a MAXI contract every 3 years. I mean, don't necessarily name it like MAXI 2 or something like that, but just think about a creative name. And then maybe like in the 3-year rhythm, because on the 15-year timeline, you would then have like 5 of those Maximus perpetual tokens. And then you have the 10, 7, 3, and 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, these are just the pools that everyone knows about, and and there's clearly a lot of demand for this, and it's something that people should be, because the more it's like the more time that there's not an option for someone to join a stake pool, the more likely that they are to just stake on their own. And every person that stakes on their own, they're really extracting a lot of future value from the HEX economy due to the gas impact of stakes, because people have to be selling HEX to pay for gas, especially on the long-term stakes, or otherwise just not buying HEX to save up that Ethereum. Like that's big opportunity cost from the HEX ecosystem. And so it's like to protect people from themselves, it's like we kind of almost need to always have some type of option out there, you know. But yeah, I mean, the timing with these, you know, these perpetuals, you know, it's like there's at least one every year. But then in some years there's 2, other years there's 3. But that, yeah, I mean, with other pools and different pool cycles and different, you know, perhaps, you know, different pool dynamic, like the perpetuals, the way that's set up, that was just like the first idea of like a type of pool, like the dynamics with the pooling, you know, where it kind of kept it simple. And but there are other dynamics that involve, like in stake pooling, that we explored but just didn't decide to build, you know. So there's kind of a lot of things that we can do, and it's kind of open playing field as we move forward.
I would have a speculative question for you as well. Do you think that the team MAXI ratio like holds in the beginning, or do you think that that might be huge volatility going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to predict. It would be kind of, I mean, obviously some people just need to sell some, like, just for whatever reason. Someone may just have an emergency expense, or maybe they lost on some other trade and they need to kind of balance to cover their losses. And so maybe people that had just minted their team like weeks later just sell it, like, just because they need the cash. But I don't see too many people just like, you know, it's like, okay, why'd you mint it in the first place if you're just going to sell it right away? So I don't see too much of that, but I do see, and that's part of why we capped it the 21-day mint phase, because it's like there's too much time. You know, it's like then, you know, this new entry, like any new person adding to team now isn't increasing the price at all. And so maybe people that just missed this launch, or maybe people that were like, they were like, oh, no way, I'm not going to buy MAXI at like 2-to-1 to mint team, like, and then it goes to like 2.3-to-1. Like, maybe those people who like just kind of played the whole thing wrong, where they were like, okay, I'll just wait, and then they're like active buyers in there. I could see that happening. And yeah, I mean, it's really, it's like if people think that either regret not minting, and also, I mean, people that regret not minting team with their MAXI, or people that regret not minting more. Because right now, like on the dashboard, it tracks the how much MAXI is in dry powder of all the minting addresses. So
I like your stats.
Yeah. So that's like the key number for me, is like, because I always like that. That's why the decision around team being only mintable with HEX or with MAXI was made. One, just almost as like kind of like an airdrop to like the MAXI people, kind of boost the value of that in that way. But 2, it makes it such a hard decision that it's like this psychological pump of mental, because now everyone who like decided not to mint team because they're like, oh, I'm just gonna hold the MAXI, or anyone who just like did both but maybe kept some more MAXI, now like every day they're gonna be anxiously checking that price chart.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic there.
I think a lot of like, there's gonna be a lot
He's talking about me. He's talking about
me. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's real. Like I know that because like there are things that trades that I've made in the past where I literally still to this day check. You know, like I like it's crazy. Like for instance, thing called I held this thing called socks for like a long time, and I sold it and I regretted it. And even though it was like one of the highest performing things ever, like percentage wise higher than
I know, yeah, I have.
And I still look at stocks chart price to see if like it's lower than what I sold it at, because I like literally I regret it so bad. And so it's that feeling that I personally experience. I'm like, okay, how can we like this is a strong feeling, and I'm for no reason I'm refreshing that, looking at that stocks price chart. And so I'm like, okay, how can we channel this into positive potential on that team price? So that was a big reason why the minting only with MAXI, because MAXI is such a strong asset and people love it. Like no one has MAXI and doesn't love it.
Yeah. It's absolutely true. And I mean, when it comes to MAXI, it will, in my point of view, it will be a never again to be seen like ratio or premium and so on, because it will always have the best share rate. It will always have the best shares. It will, in the end, also have like the 5x Hedron bonus. It will have the whole bigger base better bonus. So it just justifies kind of a premium as well,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And who knows, it's like we already saw that this kind of benefit that was passed along to MAXI holders through the team minting rules, and who knows what other magical benefits may just like exist at some point. And so, yeah, it is very difficult. And that's why it is good for people to keep some, because then also the more that people just treasure it, it's like the people that don't mint team with MAXI, now maybe they're just going to hoard it till death. And like anyone who's boosting the value of MAXI is also boosting the value of team, because at least in years 3, 6, and 9, there's that rebate. And so the higher that the MAXI value is at that time, the higher that the team earnings are valued in that year. And so perhaps the staking.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. Yeah, obviously, yes, of course.
Yeah, like if you didn't make team with it and then team ran, maybe you're like, all right, I'm not selling my MAXI. I gotta, if I already made it this far holding it, I'm gonna stick it out. And so, yeah, there's kind of a lot of things that kind of roll back into that.
It's absolutely true. Yeah. So like right before the first rebate, we should pump the MAXI price, or what are you saying?
I mean, that MAXI price may be pumping us,
That's true.
I have a couple questions here queued up. Just real quick, shout out to my man DJ Cryptomatic. He has been under the weather for a little bit. Did not get the old pre-show last week because of that, but he was back. He gave us the pre-show, hanging out. Everybody wish your favorite Hexagon DJ welcome back and whatnot. So great to have you back, Mr. DJ, and the Twitch raid as well. I do have to ask this of you, Dipcatcher, because Motley. Oh, by the way, I guess I should mention, might be a little shorter show tonight because it's pretty much all of our co-hosts are either in foreign lands or displaced or need or trying to get power back from hurricanes or recent tropical storms. So Wendy's is trying. His plans were to be here, so hopefully he's back up and operational. Motley is, I think it's like 4 a.m. where he's at in Asia, and Big K might pop in. I think he either recently got power back or is just now getting back to normal, thanks to those storms. So that also being said, we'll do the season premiere of Happy Hour next week, so we'll have some fun with that. So come on back for that. Just some housekeeping notes there for you guys, because I think at the end of last week's show I said we might have a few guests on, like crypto events and whatnot. He couldn't make it either. He's under the weather. So what's going on? So I hope I don't catch anything here. But anyway, back to the question. I wanted to ask you this, Dipcatcher, in the spirit of Motley. Do you think that, or well, I guess I'll do it in two parts. Is there anything that you would have done differently with this launch? And I say that because all the coins kind of like ran together for 21 days. And that was the launch cycle. Would you do anything differently, like spread them out? Yeah, that's a topic that's come up on here at Happy Hour with Motley, bringing that one up. I just wanted to put that to you since we have you live. Anything you would have done differently?
Maybe just made them longer. I do like that people are forced to make a decision.
Okay.
And so I do like like the 4 options. Because I mean, a lot of people spread out across all of them, and that's awesome. And then, whereas like if they had been like, first Desi, first Lucky, it's like whatever would have been first would have just gotten all of it, like just from that like timing or like availability bias. So I do like how they all overlapped. Perhaps just making them longer. Just like why not like a 60-day mint phase or something. So maybe something like that. Would have been good. But yeah, I mean, it's like I'm pretty happy with how it, and also it's like no matter what you choose, it's like the market just adjusts its behavior, and then the end result ends up probably being roughly the same. And so So it's kind of, he's kind of got to pick something. But yeah, I do kind of like the pandemonium around, like, who else has launched 5 coins at once and made people make really tough decisions. Because anytime that there's like a tough decision, and then because with the one group of people are going to decide wrong, and that's energy to the upside for the people that decided right. And so being forced to make that decision, I think is like injects a lot of energy into the markets into the future. So but maybe just longer, because people would message me, they're like, oh my god, I have a huge stake ending on the 28th and it has big payday.
Yeah.
I want to early unstake it. And I'm like, okay, well, just hopefully you can.
But I mean, that's a problem, I guess, for any sacrifice or launch phase. Like anybody out there, somebody's going to miss out by a day or two because of their staking ladder. And then you're forced to make the decision: should I emergency end stake, and especially if you have a big payday bonus, then you get hit really hard. So I guess it's something that you can't really think about or fix.
So,
because,
but it still means that for the future, the redemption and reminting phase will still only be 7 days, or are you rethinking that?
So it'll be 7 days for Trio and Base, but then 14 days for Lucky and Desi. So
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the longer ones, it's like, for a year-long stake, a week is like 2% of the time, and so even that was high. Whereas like for a 10-year stake, it's like what, 0.2%. And so
because that is also like my follow-up question, like how does this timing of team and rewards like actually work? Because if we have this 1 week of base redemption and reminting phase, that puts it like 2.5 years later in the 10th year than when the Daisy stake comes out. So I wanted to ask you like how that works like for the team staker. Is it then just like the reward address, and then you just need to be staked until this given date, like until not only Daisy is done, also like until this 1 year base is done, or how does that actually work? I mean, I know I got like 10 years in the future.
Yeah, no, great question. So the base stake is the calendar for team staking. So and then all of the rewards that come in from in between when a base stake ends through that like 7-day window and then till the next one ends. So like that 369 plus 7-day window. So it's like whenever the base stake ends, that's like the mark of the new earnings year for team. So so no matter when the other stakes end relative to that, just like whichever year they end in, that the team stakers in that year earn from that income. So say like the Desi stake ends like midway through the base stake, then people that staked base staked team during that whole base stake year, they get the rewards from that Desi stake that ended midway through base.
But also only like in the end of the base term. So the team staker still needs to be staked until base is done in order to collect both rewards. Okay.
Yeah. Team stakers just need to follow the base. Base is like the team calendar. And so if you want the rewards from that year, from wherever they come, then you just need to have your team staked during that individual year.
And I mean, one design decision, what I also liked is like the rolling over stakes. So which means that in 1 year from now, you would need like 1.12 or 1.13 hex in order to get one base, right?
Yeah. So that minting rate always ratchets up, just like, because in this, for the same reason that the share rate always ratchets up, because it's earning over that time. And so one base becomes 1.12 hex worth. And then you can redeem, if you have base, you can redeem at that 1.12 rate. Or if you want to add to the pool, you have to add at that new rate. And so Yeah, that's the.
So like after the first DAISY term, it will be between 3 and 4 hex in order to get one new DAISY.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
And which isn't like psychologically it could feel like you're kind of getting, but it's actually like fully equal. Like the value you're contributing, it's just like as if the people in DESI had withdrawn and then re-added. So it's like all the hex is measured, like they're all valued the same. Like existing hex in the pool is not valued any differently than new hex coming in. It's just that the base supply adjusts to factor in those earnings. And so that's why the DESI supply or any of the pool's token supplies, the minting rate adjusts just to factor in, to make it so that like new hex added in is equal to the value of existing hex that's already measured in base or DESI or Trio or Lucky.
I would also have like a question in regards to providing liquidity. Do you think it might be a good or interesting play to provide liquidity within the perpetuals, like base versus Trio, Trio versus Lucky, Lucky versus DAISY, maybe DAISY versus MAXI?
Yes, I think that'd be awesome. Because it's like relative to the like if you were just to like supply liquidity only to DESI versus HEX, since DESI kind of trends in one direction versus HEX, you have to be always adjusting your range so that you're like, kind of ratcheting up, aggressively. And then as that happens, like if it passes through your range, you end up with all HEX and then the DESI carries on. So that one is a little bit, just requires more active management, and also probably in addition to just liquidity providing, probably also requires like other kind of portfolio balancing where you're like selling range highs and then buying range lows. So it's like you have your liquidity position, but then you're also like selling up here and then buying down here to kind of counteract that impermanent loss that happens. So for those ones where there's like a wide spread in the like, like DESI versus HEX, but like DESI, DESI earns like 30%, Lucky earns like 23 or 24%. So that's actually, so they're kind of just growing together. Like one's growing at like that rate and the other one's growing like that.
Yeah, like especially like Lucky versus DAISY, because it's only like the 7% APY difference. So I like that a lot. And I also like Hex base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think Hex base is probably going to be the most liquid and most traded one because it's redeemable in a year from now. Anytime that price is below like what it's worth, that's like an easy buy, because then it's like you're achieving that 1 year APY in like 6 months. Or if it goes above,
even like if the people are just like going with their mindset, okay, in 1 year I know I get 1.12 hex for that, so they could actually also say like always when it's below 1.12 in the entire year they could buy, so it doesn't need necessarily be like below 1-on-1.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because it's so short, and like everyone kind of assumes that it's going to be 6.3 hex per T share during the next year. Perhaps it just ratchets right up, like, kind of how, MAXI ratcheted up basically to 2, but a lot of it really there's like a handful of buyers that really drove the premium. Like without those buyers, the premium probably wouldn't have been what it is. But with that, it hit that like 12%, like almost instantly on the MAXI pair. That, and of course MAXI's factoring much longer and like, all the other things that factor in that value, but the base stake just instantly ratcheting up to the redemption rate, and then just like being like stable, where anytime it goes below that, it's instantly bought up, and anytime it goes above that, it's instantly bought down or sold down. Like that could totally happen. Like just like ratchets up and then it just kind of like wiggles around, then ratchets up and moves around.
It's like just thinking about it, isn't it like just not also like a nice idea like to do? Like especially if you are a bigger player, a whale, at first you're just buying base with enough hex in order to ratchet up the ratio, and then you add massive liquidity, because then you have like even less risk of impermanent loss if you do that like at the 1.10, 1.12 ratio to set it.
Well, shit, dude, why'd you just give away all the free alpha? No, like that's a total, like, no. I haven't thought of that until you said that right now. I hadn't even
but
considered
now I'm thinking maybe somebody does that, so I should not bother around and just like take my last liquid hex, what I have like for the other side of the pair, and just put it into base.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
somebody will come and ratchet it up immediately.
You can sell into that person. Like if someone has that plan, you can sell, like they clearly want the base, and so you're there to sell it to them. And so that is a good, because I mean, where else can you just like can the dynamics kind of just be where it just like ratchets up in that fashion where you like price in a full year of yield? Like and that whole concept in general of how like holding these liquid stake pool tokens, it lets the market, and that's kind of why I think on the MAXI, with the premium, because it's pricing that in, it's almost like the market's just like not only reacting to like the short term like bearish sentiment around HEX, it's like we're kind of beyond that. It's like the market's already pricing in the future, and so it kind of has that like downside protection where the markets are thinking past just like what's happening today in HEX, and it's thinking towards what's this going to be worth in 3, 4, 5 years. And so that's like a pretty powerful like bear market insurance. And that's like a side effect. I mean, again, the whole point that I built these wasn't about the premium or trading. It was about the gas savings. The original idea wasn't even going to be tradable. It was just going to be a stake pool. And so like just for the gas savings, but then all these other benefits just kind of emerged after the fact.
Next question would be, is Diamond Hand contract already live?
Yeah, launched that last night.
Nice.
Yeah, it should have been built in from the start, because it wasn't very hard to build, because it was just the team staking. It was just the team staking system, but then applied to the hands or to the perpetuals. It probably should have just been part of it by default. But then we just decided that, partially because we wanted to roll out before Vegas, and we wanted to just roll out as soon as possible. We didn't want to introduce any like new complexity into the basic like perpetual pools. Like the feature we added versus the MAXI, because it was just like the MAXI contract, but changed to enable the like rollover into the next cycle. That was like enough new features for that rollout. And just because like everything that we build, it's built to be just like modular, where we can always add new things later, just like through separate contracts. Looking back, it probably would, just how trivial it was to just like implement it. Looking back, it would have been easier than I thought originally it would have been to include it in the initial release. But yeah, that's why we were able to just roll it out, because it's like the contract was just a team contract, but then modified to support the perpetuals. And then the front end was just like the team staking front end. Like it's literally the same thing. So it was just, and we got it like, so in this 21, we launched that, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. It was like a week into the pools. We launched it. We were going to build it, and then we built it, got the contract audited, and then launched with 4 days left to mint. And so, pretty
Awesome.
happy about that.
Russ says, "Cheers, everybody. Metallic Elmo wants 4 more weeks. LOL." I have a ton of comments to get through here and questions, so I'm just scrolling up because I have a lot of these bookmarked. Kryptonite, Hexkins always rushed to the AA as it was about to tick over. Should be the same here. We'll see. It could be very exciting. And following on to that, Hex Love, I haven't bought any team or perpetuals yet. I'm waiting for day 21. Case in point. There you go.
Make sure, Hex Love, remember what I told you. Make sure you get into your Coinbase account. Like, make sure your funds are transferred, because if you wait till day 21 to start moving money in, you're gonna have a hard time getting it ASAP. So
yeah.
Make sure the clearing process is good for.
I love Hex. I've gotten to know Hex Love pretty well the last couple of weeks. He came on stream the other day. That guy's awesome. He's entering at the right time, and he's got a good attitude about everything. So I really like that guy.
Nice. Paul Sachs, what's good, peoples? Hey, Paul, while you're there, you are one of the last two in this disaster of a football knockout pool that we have. I'm putting the link in the chat for you. So you and Randy Hilarski, Randy, I think, is listening. He had a dinner obligation to get to. So whenever you do listen, Randy, you and Paul are the last two. So go and make your picks. That ends that. What else? Steve Hauer says, can we see the perpetuals and team stats on ETH W and ETH F?
So I haven't added those yet because I use this like API provider that doesn't support those networks yet. So I'd have to so I'll try to get that at some point. But if you want to look at those, just look up the contract addresses on the Block Explorer, and then you'll be able to see everything there.
Hex Love, what's more likely, team yield or perpetual yield? Strange question, I know. Sorry, please advise.
So you're asking what's going to be higher? So I mean,
I would think that's the
perpetual pools. You know, it's like you get all of the yield. So team gets a very small portion of the yield from the perpetuals. It honestly should be higher. Think about what should be different. Team should be getting paid more from the pools. That's the only thing I perhaps would change, but I don't know. But so the perpetuals, they earn, but it's like the underlying asset is HEX, and then they're earning HEX. Whereas in team, the underlying asset is team, and it's earning HEX, Hedron, sometimes MAXI, and any other things that we may include. I mean, just look at that supported tokens list. There's Hedron, all the stake pools, Icosa, MAXI, and HEX and Hedron. So the team, it's just like a different dynamic where like the perpetuals, that's like a lower risk thing because like HEX is lower risk than team. And you're earning that yield, you know, so it's like all HEX. So the value of the perpetuals is bound to the HEX price times the earnings. Whereas the team, it's kind of got its own, it's got its own supply and demand dynamics that, you know, where the actual yield maybe, you know, early on as the pools are small, as the pools grow, the team could massively outperform perpetuals, especially if there's more pools, larger pools, other types of income sources. So for team, the yield is kind of just like the icing on the cherry on top, whereas like the main value driver in team is just the underlying asset appreciation. So that's kind of the difference there. So it's kind of hard to compare the yield, you know, because like the yield is just part of the whole value of the assets. And team, it's like not really bound by the HEX price in the same way that the perpetuals are bound by the HEX price.
There you go. And for that previous question, Gold Key, if you want to mint the perps with your free HEX copies on Proof of Work forks, you can here, and it provides a subdomain link that I guess exists. So there you go for that question. Latin American crypto. Hey, Cabana, I am in the process of pamping ETH to $8 again in your honor of Happy Hour Show. Thanks, appreciate it. Yay. We'll talk about that chain here in a bit. Will we all get schmeated? Maybe Monday, Black Monday. I don't know. Limits are set. Yeah, I have orders kind of like everywhere, crypto and traditional. They started to get hit today. Just the easy ones have some silly bids in that I really hope to get hit, but time will tell. Hex Quinn, where is Vince? He is out sick today, but perhaps you may be able to play the drinking game next week. I'm hoping. Everybody pressure Vince to get on here. Actually, he should be back next week. Briz, I hope we get a bunch of pre-recorded shows out of Puerto Rico once they get power back. Yeah, just like a stream dump. There you go. Patrick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. You know, actually today I went to the store, got an adapter. I got like the LAN cable to be able to put directly like from the box, you know, into the PC. And I was like, today is like best day to try it out because it's like thunderstorm going on out there. And yeah, it's still like every half an hour, it's like,
no better place to experiment than Happy Hour. So all good.
Whatever. Yeah,
Hex Love.
That's true, but sorry for that.
All good. Hex Love asked, Patrick, what do you think about the ETH. Actually, we're going to get to this. So Hex Love, stay tuned.
We get to this.
We will get into it shortly.
Because I would also like to go give like Hex Love my view on the things, when it comes to the perpetuals or team. So first of all, if you're thinking about getting team with your Maxi, the first question before anything else should be, do you want to do something?
He's having dongle problems again, or whatever kind of issues.
No, it's the dramatic pause.
Yeah, is there a Best Buy out in the jungle or something? Maybe we get the Geek Squad on board. Come back, Patrick. Come back. Oh boy. Anyway, we have more questions to tackle while Patrick is hopefully coming back to the virtual world. Let's see. Would it be possible to have a preloading contract? We can fill it up before the 7-day window, then it gets moved over.
Preloading?
Not sure.
If he's talking about, so one idea for a different type of launch structure for a pool would be to make it where it has to hit. So like where there's always a pool to join, and then it has to, as it fills up to 150 million, then it can get deployed. So if that's what he's asking for, but a preloading contract, we could. Oh, okay. Oh no. He's talking about the team staking or the perpetual staking. So you don't have to do it in the 7-day window. Oh no. Okay, maybe he's talking about the base stake. So if you were to join
retrostatic, maybe you can clarify your question further. Yeah.
Because you have to mint in that window. It's not like with staking team, you can stake into the next year at any time during the current year. But those ones, the redemption phase is only during that period.
All right. Briz, I think I know the answer to this question. How can I benefit from the mystery box? It's a mystery, my friend. It's a mystery.
The question is, how can you benefit the mystery box?
Oh, turn it around on you. There you go.
Yes, then let's ask this question. So what is your answer to that?
To what, his question?
The mystery box or the one that's on the
screen?
No,
like how can we benefit the mystery box?
It's a mystery.
Well, how can you benefit the mystery box?
How can you benefit? Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
just putting forth great ideas out into the world and just having a great attitude is how you can, and also
Hex Love sounds like a great candidate for such a thing.
Yeah.
From what you tell me.
Yeah, but also the mystery box, as users have no expectation of the mystery box also has no expectation of any users. So, it's like a dual way non-expectation agreement.
There you go. Will Maxi have parity on PulseChain, or can I get Maxi for half price? Har. I guess that would depend upon how Hex does and the performance of the other assets, right?
Yeah, it's mainly the hex value and what people do with their copies is kind of how that.
There you go. Oscar flow
but
address.
I have a follow-up question to that. So once PulseChain is live, do you think it's like better to move both Maxi liquidity onto the PulseChain?
So like your eMaxi, move it over there and then provide liquidity. Yeah, so I think that because Hex assets are probably going to be the most popular on PulseChain, and I think that all the pools in general, and I even made in one of my tweets, like on a stream the other day, I showed this whole mapping of like the whole ecosystem of like all the coins, EPOW, ETH, and Pulse, and like all 6 of our coins, and then Hex. And there's like this crazy like circular web of potential trading pairs, and yeah, I do think that what it'll be interesting to see the MAXI, like the ratio between MAXI on Ethereum versus MAXI on PulseChain, because that's how like the market will be like pricing in, like long-term risk, because MAXI is like a bet that in 15 years it's going to even be here in the first place. So like the risk, of like just long-term chain permanence is going to be baked into that. EMAXI, PMAXI pair. Also, like how the market's appraising the gas fees in 15 years, like how much because like on Ethereum, that's like a major part of the value proposition. And on PulseChain, if the fees remain low, it won't be so much of the value proposition. It'll be there. It's like it's kind of speaks to like future onboarding. Like, are more people going to be onboarded through PulseChain versus Ethereum in the future? So I think all that information is going to be expressed in those like EMAXI, PMAXI ones. And also, I mean, it's the market appraising the future earnings. Like, is staking activity going to be different on Ethereum than PulseChain? And how is that going to impact the daily payout per T-share? So all those things, like, there's really important information is going to be proclaimed to us as a result of that EMAXI, PMAXI trading ratio. So I do support price discovery.
I mean, I honestly think like a year after the PulseChain fork, I think we see a bigger payout per T-share on the ETH chain and also a higher.
He left us hanging again.
Oh my God, the suspense is killing me. I want to hear what he has to say.
What do you think the next word out of his mouth is?
Higher on Ethereum, because he's probably going to say like lower staking because of fees. Like, there's going to be just a lot more people staking their HEX on PulseChain. Maybe what he's saying. But also, I mean, with the stake pooling, like the stake pools alone could drive the daily payout down. Just like getting more HEX staked in these pools.
All right. We'll let him think about that. He's we'll stay in limbo here. While that's going on, another question from Oscar. Flow address minted. Have we touched on that?
Yeah. So early on, we spoke that the Hedron deployer, or the flow address from the Watsa, took 10.2 million of their MAXI that they had procured from the Watsa launch, and minted team, and then also minted all the pools, 2 million in base, 1 million in trio, 1 million in lucky, and 2 million in deci. And then they supplied liquidity on the MAXI team pair and the MAXI HEX pair. So and they still have 14 million MAXI. So the team deployer is like our top dog participant.
What could they do with that MAXI? He's going to be maybe the team deployer is Patrick, and that's why he's waiting to the very last.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Oh yeah, Patrick, you were saying the HEX on, or excuse me, HEX on 2 chains and payouts. That's where you left off. So you said the
yes, I know. I'm
HEX would
sorry.
be higher, and then you left us in suspense. So continue.
The T-share rate on the Ethereum chain will be higher in my point of view than on the PulseChain a year after the fork, because I see more staking participation on the PulseChain. Also, like way more coins locked up, like for 5555 on the PulseChain more than on the ETH chain, and that brings down the APY for the whole system a little bit. Which means on the Ethereum chain, it still stays higher. And if people get more accrued interest, the share rate goes up faster. So,
yeah. I think that could, because it makes just like more smaller stakes feasible. But I mean, even like still, like, we rushed to launch these stake pools to exist on PulseChain as well. And even though the gas is supposed to be less expensive, I mean, even still, like if you like low fees, how about 99% lower fees than that? And so the gas still is material, but I mean, just the other benefits of like the stake pooling, like our goal is to get all of the HEX in these pools, because then that would just like massively reduce the amount of money lost to fees. It would provide a lot more flexibility to users, new onboarding avenues. And so, if we achieve that or even come close to it, the APYs could go down a lot, but but then it's paid to more stakers, and that's why. So that's kind of how that could happen. But yeah, I do see there being differences in like user activity across the chains.
Of course.
Well, this one could be a long answer, because I think you might have been on with Maddie Allen and provided, and this I'm talking to you, Dipcatcher, but provided just some really cool insights into the coding of the actual, I guess, HEX contract going into that. And that was just a cool listen. I invite anybody to find that stream and listen to it. Talking the technical stuff and kind of breaking it down for us less technical folk. But Metallic Elmo asks, will PulseChain devs have more work on their plate now that ETH switched to proof of stake, or does it make it easier? The current testnet is a fork of the proof of work chain is what I mean.
Well, so the fork that they actually started with was the Binance Smart Chain. So Binance Smart Chain for the proof of stake aspect, that which was a fork of Ethereum. Like when you look at the entire like code commit history, the first one is Vitalik, and so it like, but they forked, like, I think the network layer from Binance Smart Chain and then the system state from Ethereum. That was kind of their, like, how they did it. I don't know how, if like now that Ethereum is proof of stake, if they are going to keep the like Binance Smart Chain version of proof of stake, which apparently they had discovered problems that may be critical to BSC today. So I really don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know any of the developers behind that, and all I've heard is what Richard has said, which hasn't been much. So I don't know. I put forth the idea the other day that because like I feel like there's this Pandora's box with these system state forks, like with the ETH POW, ETH Fair, all that stuff, that like how long until there is an Ethereum proof of stake system state fork where they just simply just copy the chain and switch to proof of stake and maybe adjust the supply schedule and, adjust different parameters, kind of like, and like how long until that happens. And I think that like that could be like, there could be a lot of these. And so I even put forth the idea that they should simply fork ETH POS as is and don't even worry about the scaling stuff at all. Like don't about the faster blocks, bigger blocks, like don't even worry about that until it's like actually critically needed, and then fork from there to implement those things. Because like I imagine those are the things that they're having trouble with, are like the things like, I mean, there's a reason why Ethereum doesn't have 3-second blocks and larger blocks and all that stuff. It's like there's good reason. And so my idea now that it's kind of like more looming that there are competitive forces out there that are competing with that like system state fork aspect of it. Like I think there's a little more urgency now than what I thought in the past, where I was like, okay, PulseChain can take 15 years for all I care. But like now that there's this kind of new paradigm around these system state forks, and we've seen 2 of them, and I doubt those are the last. I think it's a little more urgent. And so that's why I was suggesting that they should just fork it as is. That's PulseChain, and then just get the gravy train rolling, because the price appreciation doesn't come from the low fees. The price appreciation comes from like the high value assets on it. And like a lot of trading activity, and people, like the fee burning, you want people to be paying a lot for fees because then a lot more gets burned. And so I think there's a little more urgency on getting it to market. And if they have to like reduce scope, I think that would be a well worth trade-off. Like what do we need the 3-second blocks for anyways right now? Like we really don't.
I guess like a marketing
I agree to that.
pitch,
I think
maybe.
Go
ahead.
That a good like the main difference to those forks, what we saw now, and the PulseChain fork will be like a good bridge, right? Because what I see right now, it's just like hard to interact with the other forks. And when it comes to PulseChain, it will also come like with a bridge, right? And if we get a bridge up and running, which is not like getting rug pulled or hacked or something like along those lines, then that should be the biggest change, no, in order to have this flow of value cross chain.
Yeah, because right now, what the only kind of bridge is to send your ETH dub to Kraken and then wait a week for them to confirm your transaction? I don't know if that was.
There is a second with change now.
Okay.
It takes 6 hours, maybe 8 hours.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah. I haven't really.
But yes, with Kraken you need to wait a
coins
week.
that were copied over there,
like 40,000 confirmations.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do like that there's, you know, these new things that just new ways for people to speculate, I think are good. Like that's the whole point of crypto anyways, is people taking risk and to try to achieve reward. And so like, I really like it. And I think it's good that it's good. It's cause like, it's good for there to be competition. Like, you know, like with things like even within HEX, like that's why, you know, I do like, I'm not, so like anti like all these like there's been a flurry of shit coins and just all kinds of things being thrown at hexagons lately, and you know on one hand it's bad for the people that just get wrecked on things, but it's actually good to be in a competitive environment, because then that like enables like more strength to be, you know, found, and it really kind of forces it to be great. And I think that like all these you know shit forks, they kind of force PulseChain to be great. And so I actually really support this like kind of more competitive environment, because I feel like we only benefit from that. Like, sure, like it's competing for users, but it's like, that's what free markets are. Right. And so, you know, and even like, you know, and I've experienced like, you know, even though like in a lot of ways there's I think there's more symbiosis between like the Maximus ecosystem and the Hedron ecosystem, at least like in our direction. Like we benefit a lot from the Hedron ecosystem. I don't know if they benefit so much as us, but the like from you know from our existence, like we benefit a lot from their existence, but also just kind of having like you know like a really strong competitor in that sense, like on the aspects that are competitive, like that I feel it pushing me harder. And so it's I think it's a good thing that there's like other options, other things, and you know, because it only makes HEX better and only makes PulseChain better. And so like, you know, and you know, so that's why I think that like especially the timing of it, we could be like kind of facing that competition like head on, and like kind of being like, you know, the one that people chase instead of like, you know, because what if there's a really successful proof of stake Ethereum system state fork that has the cross chain bridging and you know, what if they copy all of Richard's ideas around PulseX, you know, the PulseChain supply being deflationary, the PulseX cross bridge incentivized market making? Like, what if someone just came and copied all those ideas and, you know, then rolled that out? And, you know, what if PulseChain was playing catch up? And I don't think PulseChain is really playing catch up with the POW forks. Just these ones. Who knows if there's gonna be other ones that may be stronger. But I would rather be in a position where I'd rather there be like a good one, and then PulseChain, and then a great one, and then like where PulseChain is kind of in that middle there, where that, and I think that could like drive PulseChain to even further greatness than what it could be just on its own. I think it's just a more competitive environment would be good for it.
Mm. So you're not really thinking that those forks, what we saw last week, the Ethereum proof of work fork and the fair fork, will sort of survive like in the long run, or won't get like any traction in the long run? So,
oh boy, now
like,
now you're going
HEX
there.
won't reach parity there, and so on.
Well, so
those are like the things which are in the community right now.
I think they'll be around, because like proof of work networks are really tough to just turn off, like because they can just always kind of live. All it takes is because the whole premise behind proof of work is that the network can be shut off, like there can be no mined blocks for a long time, and then they can just pick up right where they left off. So they're actually very hard to kill. So I think they'll always be there, and it takes Apple, you know, users, and which, you know, people, the hexagons are already well conditioned to think about like a cross chain, like a new system state copy that now your coins are over there, go speculate. So it's like we are kind of a saving grace for those, at least right now, because most of the Ethereum crowd kind of moved past it. But the hexagons, I think, are really receptive of it, and and perhaps there's going to be other other use cases that may emerge that that kind of like that isolated environment or whatever. So I don't know about like the success of the like token values on those. I do think that
yesterday for a short amount of time, HEX reached 10% of the value than it has on the ETH chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so maybe that's the market saying that this chain is 10 times riskier than ETH than normally.
Because and I would say it's more than 10 times riskier because I mean, what kind of liquidity do you have there? You have 70,000 of total liquidity.
Yeah, so it's all paper gains, and part of it is that like the really large holders who are like just nuking the HEX price all the time, they may not even care about that little time, because if it's 10%, that is quite high, but before then it was like 1%. So it may not even be enough for them to care about, and they know that it's not like they can sell anything and cash out anything material anyways, and so that class of seller just isn't selling on that network, and so that's kind of letting the price run. Is that it's kind of excluded that. So like the paper value, like the paper value of the assets can be quite high, but like in terms of parity, like it can always wick up and hit that price. Like one person can always just buy it and hit that price. But like I view parity as like the moving average over a year is 1-to-1, like not just like momentary parity, because then only like if it just wicks up there, then like basically no one was able to sell at the 1-to-1 rate. Like it might have hit there, but just like maybe one person sold did an order where like 10% of the order got executed at that high level, but the rest got executed at much lower. It's like when I think parity, I think like sustained parity where the two are interchangeable for each other, and the market treats them as equal, like over a sustained period of time. So because like in any like just like what is it like if you double the size of the liquidity pool on the buy side, you square the price? Isn't that kind of how the liquidity pools move? So like with
exactly,
like you put in $100,000 worth, you're not moving the price by like that percentage, you're moving it by like a larger amount than the percent you put in, just how the order matching works. So they could absolutely pump, and especially if there's like not that class of seller who maybe like for that large holder, even though the risks I think are low for interacting with the chain, the higher risks are like, okay, who's heard of Kyber swap?
Thanks for bringing this up. So I encourage everybody, because we don't know the other person, who is in front of his PC, and we don't know like where they are clicking around and what they are actually doing with their wallet. So when it comes to all those forks, including the PulseChain fork, I would encourage everybody to make a new wallet with a new private key, and then in their main wallet just connect to the new network. And the first thing you do before you give any approvals or start playing around, you send your liquid coins to the new wallet with the new private key and just play from there, because then you just put free money at risk.
Yeah, that's an awesome suggestion, just
because I mean you are a developer. When I theoretically speaking give a wrong approval on the forked chain, can that affect my main wallet as well, like my main account, like the other network?
So it shouldn't be able to, because and this on a stream the other day, because we were trying to see if there was replay attack protection on this new fork. So if a fork happens where it's like they don't change what's called a chain ID, so usually that's like a malicious fork where there are two forks where one says we're the real network, the other one says we're the real network, and so none of them budge on changing the chain ID. Since these forks weren't necessarily like contentious in that way, like it wasn't like the ETHPOW people were saying this is the real Ethereum. It's like they forked and then so they changed the chain ID, and so because the transactions that you sign on the new network can only be replayed on the mainnet if the signature matches. and the signature won't match because part of the signature, and this was on my stream, we read the code of like what
chain ID
signature. Chain ID is part of that, and then we double confirmed it to ourselves by trying to because you can take the transaction hash like that what you get on Ethereum when you make a transaction. We got our transaction hash from the proof of work network, and then we tried to interpret it from the Ethereum mainnet, and it couldn't interpret it because because the Ethereum one can only interpret its own transaction scheme. So like it returned all zeros because it didn't return the transaction data. And so had it been able to return the transaction data when we ran the function, it was called like decode transaction hash. Because we couldn't decode the transaction hash from the Ethereum proof of work chain onto the Ethereum mainnet, that's what confirmed to me that there's not that risk of like someone.
Yeah, but I have a follow-up question. I have a follow-up question to that because I saw like people getting hacked kind of stuff by just giving like a wrong approval or connecting with the wrong debt, and then they are not getting robbed this specific coin, they're getting robbed their entire wallet. And I don't know like what is like in the background going on there, because for me it looks like that giving this, they are giving away their private key, because how can the malicious actor send all the wallet? So it cannot only be a approval for one specific asset, right? And I don't know exactly like where they are clicking around, where they come to that, but I am assuming that if you come to this malicious attack, they are getting like your private key, meaning that they can also connect to other networks and rob you on all the forks, you know?
Yeah. So if I'm not sure exactly like what the one that you're referring to. Usually what happens is that they request an approval of so what they'll do is they'll on their website, they'll say, okay, connect wallet. And then when you connect the wallet, the website can read all your balances, and then they'll read all your balances of all the coins. And then for coins that maybe they whitelist or whatever, they then have like a button that says like do whatever. But then when you click it, the MetaMask transaction that you're approving is actually approve HEX to be used by this contract, and then they control that contract, and then that flushes your HEX. So I don't think
that flushes your HEX, but so you are basically saying that those other people did like gave multiple wrong approvals?
That's
because
what
you know
I think
it's hard like to get like to the real backstory of because you know it's like most of all people who are unexperienced, and then they are just saying, yeah, I got hacked.
Yeah, I mean,
but you
what
never
it
get
probably
like
is
really to
that
the
they
core
say
how.
like if I was to try, like obviously I'm not going to try to do this, but if I was to try to trick someone into doing this, I would have a website that says like, okay, connect your wallet, and then it would say mint your, or like connect to this, or like approve this or something, and then it would say and then it would have a list of all the coins, so like HEX, Hedron, MAXI, whatever. Then it would be like it tell you a button to say do something. You'd click it, and then the prompt would you'd say approve, and you have just approved your HEX. And then on the successful approval, the website will just show an error that says fail, try again. And then they click again. Now you're approving Hedron. Fail. Click again.
No.
So like,
Okay,
I don't know the way to just like give a contract like blanket approval for all assets, because it's on like that, because like the approval is on like when you're like, for instance, like when you go to the MAXI site or you go to the team site and you're minting your MAXI, when you're signing that approval, you're telling them you're not interacting with the team contract in the approval step. You're interacting with the MAXI contract. So you're telling the MAXI contract to allow
it can use this amount of
to spend on your behalf, and that team could be anybody.
Yeah.
It could be their own wallet. And so and then they run the transfer from function, which allows them to take the funds. So I bet they, and I don't know of a way to just give like blanket approval, because it's like on a per coin basis. Like that's enforced by the ERC20 token itself. So I don't think that it's it is kind of like you're giving up your private key. I mean, some people may be giving up their private key. You can't just expose the private key from like a signature, and MetaMask doesn't let you like
I know
expose it in that way. But I mean, so I don't know how that person messed up, but it probably was more involved than just like, oh, I clicked a button and now they have my private key.
Mm-hmm.
Catching up on more chat items, just going down here. Hexy Quinn with a very important question. Is it me, or does Dipcatcher have Motley's face and Wendy's voice? I don't know, Hexy. Have we ever seen Dipcatcher, Motley, and Tendies all on the same screen at the same time? Questions to be answered. All right. What else do we have here? I think we're pretty good. Oh, say hello to Chat69XYZ. Thank you, mods, for knocking that out there. Wallasaurus, yeah, I'll mod you, bro. Bobby Hexelrod wants to know who sniped the dating site. That's all our wonderful admins. What else did we have in here? Yeah, so I guess we kind of touched on this, or you did, Dipcatcher, just the general idea, like how long until you get front run by other full system state forks now that they see, everything's working out fine. So it's like, I guess to your point, it's like, why not just get it out there? Is that kind of what you were saying? And just
kind of just be like a market leader in that sense, and then instead of like all the demand kind of being diluted, because it's like once people, because there's probably a lot of people that are receptive of a system state Ethereum proof of stake fork outside of our community. Like we've reached all the people that we already know, but there's probably a lot of people that are receptive of it. And then once one happens and people invest in it, they're kind of, they kind of protect that one, and they want to be committed to that one. And so there's risk in like these things happening, and then like all the people that would have been part of that like total addressable market have already kind of like established themselves. Like we're seeing it literally right now. Like there's people that have latched themselves on really strongly to the Hedron ecosystem, and they're kind of anti-MAXI only for that reason. Like not, it's like Hedron's great and MAXI's great, but it kind of, some people.
I also hate it like when people are asking like, which one is better? There is not like this or this is better. It's more the question, okay, which one of those systems fits you better, and
perfect
not like what is the better play, there is no better play, because for somebody who wants to build up a portfolio, for example, it might be active. It might be the HSI stakings, where you can theoretically mint the Hedron on a yearly basis and stake them, and then you can, from just one purchase, you can like grow a portfolio. And for other people who don't want to put too much attention in the market and so on, it's perfect to go with the perpetuals. The longer the better.
Yeah, and
I agree with what Kool-Aid says here.
Would be receptive, but with the, I mean, and I think that like ours and theirs, because they're not like direct competitors with like the same value proposition and the same product, they're not like, so there is more overlap, but like with an Ethereum proof of stake fork that was to happen, in those ones where it's kind of like zero sum across all those, like there's going to be one that's like massively more successful than the sum of all the others. In that case, it is kind of important to reach people before they can already get committed and like locked into something else. Because if it like comes way after the fact, and if like, like things like lower fees aren't going to draw people to that one. It's like people, if they're already invested in it and they're like in it, then it's very hard to reach those people that we could have otherwise reached. So that's why I feel like there is a renewed sense of urgency. Whereas in the past, like I had zero urgency at all for PulseChain to roll out, other than just wanting to be on it and trade it. Other than just like personally wanting it, there wasn't like a big strategic advantage.
That only comes because now you are done with all your coins and conflicts. So you can say,
yeah, I guess. Well, these coins. Yeah, I mean that it's funny how things change. Where we shortened the MAXI minting phase to 14 days because we thought that we were worried about hitting the PulseChain snapshot date. That was in mid-May.
No, we could have had like 6 months of MAXI minting, reaching 1 billion HEX in the contract.
Rivaling Godwell. Yeah, that'd be funny. Oh man. What else do we have? So I think we've touched on some of the main topics.
Go ahead,
will
Patrick. There be diamond hand for MAXI? That's the question.
So not yet. The diamond hand contract, it only fit with the perpetuals, and since MAXI is a little bit different than the perpetuals, it just doesn't like fit right away. But yeah, I mean, enough people have been asking for it, and that'd be another crazy way to drive value to the 369 rebate for team, and so it definitely makes sense to build that. And maybe with more dynamics at play, because with this one, it's like we wanted to get it out. I mean, even though we could have rolled it out after the pools launched, it just like made it a lot easier to roll it out before, instead of having to build something that like accounts for like the days after the first time. It wouldn't have been too hard, but we just wanted to roll it out. But now that we kind of have a little bit more time to breathe, we could build in some crazy dynamics into that to like really make it like a strong value proposition and stuff like that. So I do want to build that at some point in the near future.
Awesome. Cool.
Gold key Hedron is a pumpamental for Maximus DAO. There you go. Let's see what else on the news front here. Do you like to touch on some of the news items of the week? So this one's kind of like the most noteworthy and everybody like close your eyes for a second, because this could be, okay. Sorry for the putting a man that looks like an aborted fetus on your screen, but the main topic is the SEC claims all of Ethereum falls under U.S. jurisdiction, and this is the Ian Bellina case, which is just like, let me get that off your screen there. So what they did, and this has no, I think, effect on the actual case, but what they're doing is, conveniently enough, basically citing in its complaint, the regulator noted that the ETH sent to Bellina was validated by a network of nodes on Ethereum blockchain, which are clustered more densely in the United States than any other country. So they draw this conclusion just from that. As a result, those transactions took place in the United States. I mean, talk about reaching now. I mean, we all know, they're going to try to regulate. Obviously, I think it's well known by now that Bitcoin is probably, I don't want to say the safest, but like not as in the crosshairs as much as, I mean, he wants Ethereum to be, Gensler does. So it's like, any thoughts on this? Because I know, Patrick, you're not in the States currently, but I don't know. It's just,
I don't think that
this is
goes
like
really far.
We have a long way to go with this, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree to that, and but I also don't think that it goes really far, So I don't see the SEC making like different decisions than in the past when it comes to Ethereum,
Yeah, I think it's more of just setting up their long game, because whether regulation or whatever you want to whatever rolls out ends up in 2023 or the beginning of 2024, they're throwing this in there kind of like to test the waters, and obviously we're going to see how the Ripple case comes out, and I think that'll have pretty big implications on how they pursue. But they're kind of like just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. This is how this strikes me. So I don't know, just something to keep an eye on. I know Ian Bellina has actually streamed.
Maybe the American Ethereum miners are starting to use a VPN. Does that help? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I heard. What was it? Whose stream was it? It might have been. I want to give him credit. I think it might have been Identity Block. I think I watched or listened to a stream with him. And it might have been him with lit. My Life is Awesome and Identity Blocks. There was a good stream. It was a long stream, but I listened to a lot of it. And what Identity Block, I think, may have, I don't say proposed, but an idea that was thrown out there was for the PulseChain validators, if it's looking like a lot of them are United States based now, maybe that is not the case. So somehow, like, most of the validators are not based in the United States, or at least, more than 50% of them. So that would throw this out. I know it's like playing whack-a-mole and, a bunch of just what ifs, but it was an interesting thought and interesting, I guess, point versus this. So
see, my response to kind of all like is it's one, it's part of the game, and two, just like come and take it. Like it's easy for them to say that we're going to regulate its use, but then it's another thing to enforce it. And the fact that like that it's the cryptos, because they're rooted in cryptography, it makes it much easier for the person who is defending themselves from being infringed upon than the person actually trying to implement some type of infringement. And so I think that it's weighted more so than in other systems. It's weighted more on the side of the user, especially the peaceful, honest user who's doing nothing wrong, and I think maybe there's obviously going to be pushback, but perhaps there's, it's like at one point, Rosa Parks broke the law for sitting at the front of the bus. And what was the solution? That, it's like civil disobedience, simply refusing, and so, maybe, this is like a good topic to do it on, because it's not like it's like by you like asserting your right to perform math on the internet. That's all you're doing. And you're interacting with crypto stuff. You're just doing math on the internet peacefully, where everyone is fully opt-in, all consensual. If you're lying and committing fraud, that's different. That's not like just peacefully performing math, but just like using these networks is peaceful. And so it's much weighted, like the advantage is much on that person than on the one who's just trying to like, okay, you can come. Is law enforcement going to just come and shoot people peacefully signing transactions on the network? Like maybe, and absolutely could. And perhaps that those martyrs are what kind of how like martyrs were like a strong thing that kind of pushed like religions into kind of, like a strong foundation of people that died for their beliefs in these things, or what made the future of these religions even stronger. Like perhaps that's what it takes. And, and if they're willing to kill people for peacefully performing math on the internet, then they're the ones that are in the wrong. And then it will only empower the people who care about these topics. And so it's a very tough thing for them to even kind of try to attack. It's like either way they're at it. They're at it.
What do you think about the regulation when it comes to the ways in and ways out? So yes, I completely agree. Like when it comes to the actual crypto regulation, that they will have a really hard time. And if the whole world would use a decentralized crypto wallet, we would have the best financial system ever, because we would have back to peer-to-peer transactions, right? And but what do you say like with this way in and way out? They can, for example, regulate the exchanges, that it's just like crypto, like cash to crypto and crypto to cash transactions are illegal, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where they can reach, is like places that touch their existing kind of regulatory scope. So banks absolutely can, but perhaps if they make it so that it's illegal to use, like drugs being illegal, that's why they're expensive, is because there's a premium on procuring it. And so perhaps they only just make them more valuable by making them harder to get. More people demand them and they're willing to pay a higher price. And so that kind of counters some of that. And then those people then, they would be breaking the law.
Can you compare it to the drug market? Because if it's the drug market, the people are, they want to have something that changes their mood. And here we are like just in a pure speculation market, without anything which changes your mood. Yeah, I mean, okay, if you make 10,000x, it changes your mood. But
well, I mean, I think it's important to have assets that like pricing assets is very important. Like that's a critical piece of society's operation, is people being able to bet on the current value relative to the future value of anything. And so it's, while people can like wreck themselves, I think it had like, it's like a core piece of humanity. And so, whereas like, I mean, even though you could say drugs have been historically a core piece of humanity as well, but like, I think
agree.
that it's, because it's like less like physically destructive. I get like all the negative effects of trading, but I do think that it is a critically important piece, and it will exist. I mean, much like drugs will always, no matter what type of enforcement happens, unless like, everyone is just like, locked up. But even then it's like, it finds its way. If these digital assets are in such high demand, they will find their way. And perhaps the regulation only emboldens the people that already have them. And it's like, anytime there's a problem, that's the entrepreneurial opportunity for someone to deliver a solution. So if like the problem is that, okay, these nations are suppressing our ability to use our money that we think is our money to buy the things that we want consensually, then they're causing issue there. Then that's a solution for someone, maybe, new ways to transact value that's not like through their system, or, perhaps that's opportunity for another nation to see, okay, look at all these people angry about their situation. Perhaps we can attract them to be buying our goods and our government goods and services. And so, it may be tough during that transition, but I think that these things are powerful, and it's almost like Pandora's box has been opened, and it's like, you can't take back all this stuff. There's something really powerful here. I mean, we're all over the world. We're talking about this topic. We talk about it hours on end, and there's something powerful in that is very hard to just kind of take away without people finding new solutions. So it's kind of, it's always going to be this.
I mean, my counter argument to that is that the world will never be in a 100% peace or a 100% agreement. So even if like big governments come out and say like, okay, all crypto to fiat transactions are illegal in our country, then some smaller countries or other countries will just like take that as an advantage for themselves in order to, okay, then we are going to attract all the crypto speculators. It's like also a counter argument from my side to that.
Yeah, well, and then people have to make the trade-off. Like, okay, do you want to be in like this larger, more established country that maybe has other benefits, or do you want to be? And that's kind of where that's all gets factored into what choices people make. But the one thing that makes me think not like, I actually very rarely think about like crypto regulations, is because, at least like outright banning them in the United States, is that there was already a Supreme Court ruling in the 90s related to this topic. It was around the topic of illegal numbers, where there were numbers that were considered like under the Munitions Act, like certain prime numbers were illegal to be in your possession, or certain software was illegal to be in your possession. And so Adam Back, the guy from the guy who's like a major component of Bitcoin, as like a form of protest, he like wore a t-shirt that had an algorithm that was illegal. He wore it as he crossed the border. And so there was like a Supreme Court hearing about this topic, and what it clearly stated was that that like math and software were free speech, and speech is protected. That's one of the things that has traditionally been the most protected thing in the U.S. Per the Supreme Court. But I mean, people are ready to throw the Supreme Court out. So if that happens, the thing that I think kind of is our saving grace in a way, that like using cryptos will be considered speech and can't be infringed upon. I'm especially in the last year, I'm growing less confident that the Supreme Court, that someone's not just come in or like people will somehow, maybe violently, upend that whole thing. So that's the one thing that gives me a little bit of at least short-term confidence in this. But then if they make it illegal, then we just got to adjust. It's like we're still in the game. It's just part of the game. They're one player, we're another player, and then that's the new reality that we have to adjust to. And so, like, regardless of what happens, it's just kind of like you got to roll with it. And
there's so much capital in crypto. So you mean to tell me that you're just going to come in and kill off everything aside from Bitcoin and kill an industry? That money will find some place to go. So if you're going to kill it here, like, you're going to lose out somewhere else. That money's going to go to another country, countries, many other locations. So I mean, that's one point on that there, and I don't know. It's just, something that's inflow. It's gonna keep happening, and the tornado cash thing is another thing to touch on too, real quick. Is like, you're coming after privacy, so I don't think that argument's gonna hold up really well. Like, you're gonna sue code. There's like a dev or something like that, but I mean, just the general idea of privacy, I don't think, especially once the masses get educated as to what's going on. Obviously, governments are doing this in the name of anti-terrorism, anti-money laundering, whatever. But that's just the way that they use those things to come after things that that they don't like.
Because like the biggest money laundered currency is still the US dollar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the biggest money laundered currency is still the US dollar.
Yeah, so fly helicopters of cash to another country. That's less traceable than stuff on the blockchain.
Yep.
But I think a sad reality.
And when it comes to tornado.cash, I liked it a lot. Like when they just identified big crypto holders, their public addresses and all that stuff, and then just send 0 point something coins there.
Yeah, and that, I mean, just a small example there. That's how quick crypto and smart they are to react to such a thing. Okay, you want to mess with this? Okay, here you go. So whatever happens, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think one thing that I do think is going to have to happen eventually. There's going to have to be some sort of common ground. There's going to be some sort of regulation. Obviously, they need to have something, and hopefully crypto gets there something. So I think it has to be a lot more than just, oh, Bitcoin's okay and everything else is sus or not allowed. I think that's complete garbage, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's the goal of the current SEC. So I agree with RG3. He's been very vocal about this, and we have to, as a community, as a crypto community, have to get political. You got to get, you got to swim with the sharks. And in this case, the sharks are the government. You got to get in and, meet these people and lobby and find out who are the decision makers. And, there are plenty of people out there that are crypto friendly. And, we need to find more of those people, make their voices louder, and find more and more of those people. So it's just part of the process, part of the game, but it's worth the discussion because it is real. It's an ongoing thing, and we're going to be hearing about it for months, if not the next couple of years, until all this is resolved. So I know it's not the most exciting topic, but it is real, and I want everybody to be informed on it. And that's why I like to bring it up every now and then, because it affects everyone here. Imagine, if you're part of a wonderful crypto ecosystem, and someone tries to come and take that from you, not just your HEX coins, but your derivatives, and the financial freedom that people are striving to achieve, and have achieved, and some that are close to achieving, and others years from now will achieve, and to take that away, or potentially, in theory, it's just like that's evil, man. And we're here for the good, and penalizing everyone for in the name of going after a couple of bad actors is ludicrous, and we need to make our voices louder. And I've said this before, like guys like the Winklevi and others, I know they're mainly into Bitcoin, Chamath, but it's like you guys need to step up. And I think it was even Armstrong from Coinbase led one of the suits, I think against it was the Tornado Cash thing, or in favor of Tornado Cash. And we need more voices like that, because they get a foot in the door, then doors open, and everybody, comes in, they try to take out whatever they want. So you got to like keep the door shut and be like, all right, let's talk about this. Let's come to a at least a agreeable conclusion that's not totally insane, which is what they want and can't happen.
Yeah, like also when it comes to European regulation, yeah, they like a few months ago there was a FAT going around. Yeah, they are going to make decentralized wallets illegal, and nothing happened. So it's also a lot of noise going around when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And in the end, governments, what do they like to have? They like to have income. So how do they get income? To tax their people. So they're more likely leaning towards the side, okay, how can we tax crypto efficiently? Then like how can we make it illegal?
And also they're not particularly savvy. Like the people in government, they're not like the people who are really savvy or the people building in these crypto systems. Like they have like kind of like a big brand of power and strength, but it's like, okay, look at it's been put on display over and over and over again that like they're kind of ineffective. And so like, how would they, like if hackers are spending all day long trying to like figure out how to like compromise the network, and like if they can't, then how are just people like, oh, with words in a book and signing it and saying people in uniforms like enforcing it, like it's like what really can they do? Yeah, I think they can shut off the exchanges, but like if we have a critical mass of people that are already in it, and like when there's a will, there's a way, people can find their way into it after that. Like really, what can they do? They can kill people, which they have a history of doing, and maybe that's what happens. But it's like if the government's going around killing people for peacefully performing math, then perhaps I will see you in the afterlife.
Yeah, that only strengthens the crypto community. That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it is exciting. It's like validating that it's like reached a level where it now is kind of on that radar. Shows something's there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Kool-Aid, the fact that Gensler said that ETH is now a security now that proof of work was removed, and ETH violates the Howey test of no profit from the work of others when it's off proof of work. To Dip's point, they are wackadoodle. There you go. Technical term from Crypto Kool-Aid. Wackadoodle. My friend. All right. Well, that wraps most of the major topics. Just a couple of, I guess, fun little items left. Patrick, we have a birthday coming up you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I would like to talk about the future events, what the KSB TV team is planning. And the first thing what we are going to plan is the HEX birthday party, like we also did last year. Last year we did it in New York, like in the same time when Richard had his birthday party going on in London. And this year we will be in San Diego. And we will meet each other on the 1st of December. There is a get-together on the rooftop part of the Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego planned. So the Hard Rock Hotel would be like for everybody who comes in from out of state or from far away, So the Hard Rock Hotel would be the place to stay. So we are encouraging all the Hexicans to stay in the same hotel there. So on the 1st in the evening, we have a get-together. Then on the 2nd, the actual HEX birthday, we are meeting at 12 p.m. in the harbor. And we rented a yacht, 40 people yacht. So we have 40 tickets for the yacht, which is going to be 12 p.m. till 4, 12 till 4. So yeah, from midday till 4 p.m. And afterwards everybody can refresh himself in the hotel, eat something, and then in the evening one of the big nightclubs in San Diego, there we have the whole VIP sections, and trying to get the whole nightclub full of Hexicans there on their screens. We will have all the Hex logos going on and so on. And yeah, big party for everybody to come, and then on the next day, on the 3rd, we will have like a relaxed day, pool party on in the hotel as well.
Recovery day.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'll try to be there.
That is outstanding. I wonder how the location of San Diego got chosen. All right. May or may
Maybe the
not.
CEO of KSB.TV is like nearby.
May or may
And
not.
actually, like also when we started the 5555 tour, the south of California is a beautiful area, I would say. And you know, with the sea next door, it's also possible to make a yacht party. And most of the Hex OGs enjoyed it a lot when we did that in Miami. So we, like, by default, we wanted to have it either on the East Coast or on the West Coast. And last year we did celebrate the Hex birthday on the East Coast. So let's go to the West Coast for this year's Hex birthday.
Nice.
For everybody who wants to have more information, just go on ksb.tv/meetups. You will find all the individual RSVPs for the like just for the nightclub, for example, you know, if you're locally and don't need a hotel, and then of course the VIP package, which includes the whole set, including the hotel for either 1 or 2 persons.
All right, I'm just making sure I have the link. So ksbtv.meetups. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. There you go.
ksb.tv/meetups.
Got it. So that is there. And another event before we close. What else do you have there, Patrick, for community news?
So, you know, I have been around to Hexicon events a lot of times, made like most of them myself, all the workshops, you know, what we did throughout the 5555 tour. And what I saw throughout the tour and throughout all those events is that Hexicans are a little interested about like the actual educational part, but most of all they are just like interested in getting closer like to this person they, for example, watched on stream for 2 years, you know, or they so before we started the 5555 too, you know, the pandemic was still a big thing, and it was like for most of the people the first time, you know, that we could actually meet in person after having 2 years of phone calls and video streaming and all that kind of stuff. So what I saw, okay, that the people just want to get together more and more, and that's why we sat down on the table and brainstorm a bit. And I don't remember, I guess it was Caitlin who brought up, okay, let's do a Hex cruise. So what is going to happen next year is the Hex cruise, which is a 4-day cruise line, 4-night cruise line, starting on the 24th of April till the 28th, and going from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas and back. And yes, let's get as much Hexicans on the boat as possible. And for me personally, I think it's the best event we can throw in order to build up the community, because we don't need to fundraise anything for that. We don't need any sponsors for the Hex cruise. We don't rent it the whole boat. So it's happening if we have 50 Hexicans or 555 Hexicans on the boat. It doesn't matter too much, you know, the more the better, because the more the cruise line comes like to us, and we can do more things on the ship. And also when it comes to excursions, we would like to keep that under our own planning, you know, that we can give the Hexicans the best experience there. And yeah, so everybody who wants to join the Hex cruise, I would encourage you to already RSVP, because it is only $100 per person to secure your spot, you know, and then we know our list of people, and then we can like go and plan even better and be more ahead. And the actual payment, the rest payment, is not due till February, so like 2 months before the cruise starts. And they canceled their vaccination requirement, so you don't need to have that.
Yeah, I think it's just testing.
Was
nowadays.
A big concern of a lot of hexicans. So nothing like that.
That's why I love hexicans. Is there a website that they could go to, Patrick?
Yes, so it's the same website. It's also on ksb.tv. I mean, we also have the domain hexcruise.com, but on ksb.tv/meetups, it's also or hexcruise.com. It's specifically for the Hex Cruise. And
there
then,
you go.
yeah,
It
the only thing what I wanted to say to that is like don't book any excursions over the cruise line itself, because now we are starting to promote that. We are trying to get as much influencers and hexicans on the boat, and the more we have, the better we can plan our own excursions. And I mean, Kaylin is really, really good when it comes to plan excursions or trips or events or something like that. So you will definitely have at least the same cool experience as if you book an excursion through the Caribbean, the cruise line itself.
Yes, I've heard some ideas tossed about, so definitely book those through the Hex folk rather than the cruise line, because they will have no idea what some of these excursions that you're asking about. They're unlisted as well, so
this will be unlisted excursions.
So it'll be a good time there.
And I don't want to tell too much, but we in the background we are in the talk with a lot of influencers, also like you, Cabana, that, and we have some pretty interesting ideas. So right now it's the time like where we should get the list bigger and bigger. Where I DM like several Hex influencers and ask them personally if they like it, if they also want to come by, because for me, it's the perfect event. It's really the perfect event because it benefits nobody and everybody. So there is like no leader in front, who gets like a share or a cut of everybody or something so like that. And in the same time, it benefits everybody, because it builds up the community, it grows the community, and we can onboard the rest of the ship. So if, let's say, 1/3 of the ship is hexicans and 2/3 are no coiners or other people, then we can onboard the entire ship, and for 4 days they cannot go anywhere.
You cannot go anywhere. We are trapped on a boat together. We will onboard you, or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's actually great, because I mean, people who can do cruises, I mean, there are a variety of people who do them, but there are some, some of the wealthier people, that's their mode of vacation, and everybody likes to drink and socialize, or at least a lot of people do. I'm not saying naming names, but I like, having a cocktail every now and then on a cruise ship. But what a better way to network and strike up conversations with strangers if you're sitting at one of the many bars on a ship, or having fun doing activity, or participating in one of the events on ship.
Yeah,
and people are like, "Hey, what's that shirt? What's that logo? What's
That's true. Yeah. And nobody needs to take care, like, okay, where should I go and eat tonight, because we have the boat, it's all inclusive, so nobody needs to get stressed out when it comes to that. You can bring your no coiner grandma, you can bring your wife, you can bring the kids, it's plenty of activities for each and everybody there. It's not focused about education, it's focused about what the Hex community is about, bringing friends and family together and just build up a community of long-term passive income enthusiasts.
Can I bring my shitcoiner grandma?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And what shitcoins is she in?
The word Shiba Inu, Doge. Just kidding.
All right. Well, as Patrick
said, her, explain to her like how she can make the swap and get into Daisy right now.
She told me, I told her, she asked me like what I do, and I was like, well, she actually did kind of understand crypto. Like, I was like, yeah, there's money online, but then she's like, the only thing online for me is my clothes hanging outside. And so she's like, never used the internet, but she kind of get it when I was like, there's pesos, there's dollars, now there's these just things on the computer, and she actually totally understood it, which was odd to me, when she like doesn't understand that like you can send a photo to somebody. Like
Sandy Beach is cruise wheelchair acceptable. ADA is a standard for cruise lines, and I'm not talking about Cardano. ADA compliance, LOL, just to be clear there. So Hex Siren, cruises are for people who don't like flying, quoted by Tina Fey. That's good.
It's true, yeah.
Cruises are also a fun time.
I will personally still fly. Like
I was gonna say, I've flown and done cruises,
Florida.
so I enjoy both ways of getting to destinations. Marion, you still need to fly to Port Hex Siren. Okay. Let's see.
And I mean, I have like something else to announce. I'm sorry, Cabana. I know.
Oh, is there? I did not have this on the list. I thought we were closing, but feel free. Go ahead.
There is a lot of creativity coming out of the KSB team, and the last idea which is coming out of that is HEXI Awards, yearly HEXI Awards. So where there will be different kinds of categories, like Hexiest Man of the Year, Hexiest Woman of the Year, and all kinds of different categories. And yeah, I would just like to hear your feedback. Do you like the Hexi Awards, like the idea itself, that people from the community can just go, for example, to our website in a couple of weeks from now, and then just nominate somebody for the specific category, and then you can win like a digital trophy, a Hexi award.
That's awesome. Kind of like the Dundies.
Yes, the Dundies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would just like to say I mentioned this a year or two ago to a couple different parties, so I'm glad this is getting a little traction. So good job. I like it. And you need to have an award ceremony, and you also need to do a Hexagon roast as well. So just some ideas out there. Let's do it.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, some place like the Hex Cruise would be like a really good way to make such a ceremony of winners, And then what I would like to ask you, do you have any exotic categories, maybe, what you would like to see in the list?
I think there's plenty that could come out of Vegas with Mr. Crypto Kool-Aid, his dancing, and we have smoke shows like Hex Siren and Hexy B doing, and many other ladies walking the runway. So that was awesome. We have performance awards. We could do Freddie Quotes and Corey the Investor and Scott. I mean, man, there's so many. It opens up a world of possibilities there. Get creative.
Yeah, I mean, we already have like a lot of categories. We already have a lot of categories already. I'm just like asking. That's why I specifically asked, like, if you have like any exotic things you want to see given out as a Hexi award.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hex Speedo chat and Men in Thongs chat in the chat. We don't want that kind of exotic there. So let's be creative, but not. Let's not just go over the hill with this thing. So anyway, that will about do it for this week's show. Thank you for all the community news updates there, Patrick. They're just if you're
one more
for you. I'm coming.
Did you saw like what I'm wearing there? Did
you walk the runway in that shirt?
Yeah, I walked the runway in that shirt. That's my runway shirt.
I saw you. You.
Yeah, so that's Susanne's art. Susanne is a member, a Hexagon from the German community. She's originally from Germany, and right now she is like putting all her free time and all her energy into creating this awesome Hex and PulseChain and PulseX art, and I like that a lot. I also have a white PulseChain hoodie. I got it like back last year. It was
Like-
one of her first pieces.
Like Hootie and the Bluefish?
In the Bluefish? No, it's
Oh,
a white
hoodie!
hoodie with
Hoodie!
the
Okay, got
hoodie,
you.
a hoodie, yeah, with
Okay.
the PulseChain logo on it.
You know, lost in translation. All good. All good.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh man. So we'll end on that one.
And you know, I mean, you're
Or we
making
won't.
advertisement for Under Armour there, you know, and in America. So you know, we have a lot of HEX merch already. So you need an upgrade, Cabana.
Upgrades indeed. Let's upgrade to PulseChain soon. When PulseChain. So anyway.
Yeah, so Dip Catcher, what is your speculation on when PulseChain? So now we wrapped out like 100 new coins and still we are waiting for PulseChain.
I think probably December 32nd.
There you go.
No, I don't know.
I like that, yeah.
Like
Probably
July 32nd last time, right?
yeah. My July 32nd call
It's still accurate.
wrong. So got to move forward to December 32nd.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like
I don't know what problems they're trying to solve that, you know, and just how long it could take. And, you know, it's like coordinating because he has like 14 developers. It's hard to just like coordinate that alone. And so who knows just like what types of delays just happen with like just managing a team like that. And so, yeah, I have no clue. I wish that maybe I should just like ask, like, I would like to kind of get some more kind of insight and see if there's anything I could just like not help with. Cause like I'm definitely more on like the application side. Like there's nothing that I know is like good for that, but I don't know. Maybe there's something I can just like, I don't know. Maybe some insight I can give could be helpful to them as they're trying to get this thing done.
I think the biggest thing that you can do is to get Bitcoin to new lows. And I think we'll be a lot closer to PulseChain launch. That's what I'm going to say about that.
So you really think that once Bitcoin goes like to Richard's 11K, then like the day after you would see the announcement of Richard.
I've said like no, I'm not going to be that precise in saying that's what's going on because I mean he's you know, I'll take him at his word. He said that's not what is going on. However, you know, I've said this before. I think we were kind of close in May, and then you know we weren't quite like bottoming out yet or close to the bottoming process. I think every day we're closer to it. So every day that we're closer to it, more things are getting done. So why not put off, you know, something that's really good and try to perfect it in the meantime. And then if you happen to launch closer to the low, which we are now, you happen to launch closer to the low. So I'm all about it. I think, you know, like I said, every day we're getting closer. Plus, we got the highest of stakes coming out, I think, hopefully by the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, while Richard has said he's not timing the market flat out, he has also said it's the price chart is a lot better if you launch in a bear. He has said that somewhere before. So
yeah, he has said that in the year when everybody waited for HEX.
There you go. So
or no, actually in one of the interviews, like after it, I guess
I think it might have been after
phase.
Yeah, I don't know the timing on it, but I've always kept that in mind. There's like little gems if you listen every, you know, go back through the years.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about wraps it. We've covered everything that we came here to do, and we got
Can I ask?
Can we have one more?
To Dip Catcher, actually, what is your speculation on the total amount of HEX being locked up in the end, like in 3 days and something?
In the pools. So right now we're at 354. I think we're hitting 600 million.
Wow. Okay, that's a big estimate. Okay,
we're going for 600 million.
Cool. Yeah. That was worth it to ask this question in the end.
There you go.
I didn't I thought maybe he says 400 right now. No, 600. Cool.
See, not 11K in pray. We're doing 600 mil and chill.
Hey, there we go. 600 mil and chill. Boom. In the chat. What's up, T-Bird? I know, we're off time cycles, but good to see you. Thanks for coming by. RuneSkees, I wanted to bring that back up before we closed. Richard's latest tweet update about PulseChain was hilariously the biggest hint towards this. Which tweet was that? I'm just curious. I'm trying to go through, but anyway, not gonna waste time on that. But
giving Cabana some homework here.
Yeah, I'm gonna scan through the old feed stream. And as I can't talk, all right, there we go. Usually I mute for that kind of thing. This is where we shill ourselves, so it's kind of easy to do with two guests here and no co-hosts, although I miss my co-hosts, and I hope they come back all safe and happy next week for the season premiere. If not, that wouldn't be much of a season premiere. But thank you, Patrick Hexline and Dipcatcher, for coming on. Patrick, where can we find you? There's lots of places, including ksb.tv.
Exactly. So the website of me and my team is ksb.tv. If you want to reach out to me personally, the best way is to do it on Telegram at @hex_lion, and on Twitter we also are going with ksb.tv. Or our German brand is Kryptosparbuch, whereas on Twitter we are still also going with English on Kryptosparbuch. But with the YouTube channels, we already changed that. So if you are only subscribed to Kryptosparbuch, please go ahead and search KSB TV on YouTube as well, because that is our English-only channel right now. And on Kryptosparbuch, that is our German-only channel, in order to get it a little better for the algorithms and also for the people that they have their dedicated channel with the language. And that's it, I guess. Everything should be clear. ksb.tv/meetups if we want to just get updates or be updated, about the future HEX and Richard Hart ecosystem events. And what you also might know is we are also about to do the 1 million Pulse tour. But again, the first thing
when's that? Give us a date.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing we need for that is actually the PulseChain. Cabana, that with the HEX 5555 tour, initially I thought it will become a PulseChain tour, because I thought, let's start now, and then in 1 or 2 months from now we can already onboard the people over the PulseChain and have fun. Give everybody a little bit of HEX because it's so cheap to transfer around and so on. So, I had these thoughts over 1 year ago, or about 1 year ago.
Time flies, doesn't it?
That's true.
And let's Patrick, while I continue your shill there, the shirt, is this the website people can find these wonderful items of clothing?
That's from Susanne's art, and there on the side you get this S and A, and what it also has, it has the numbering. So that was the second shirt of this logo ever made.
There you go. When NFT.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's why they are numbered. So, but I have no idea of when NFT. But I guess soon, soon NFT.
There you go. I was just throwing that out there. Thank you, Hex Siren, for putting that link in the chat. Dipcatcher, you have a thing or two that is exciting coming to fruition in the next few days. Please tell us where we can find you and all about what will be happening in these next few days.
Yeah, so follow me on Twitter. That's my main source of putting information out. Tanto Nomini on Twitter, or just search Dipcatcher. And also follow Maximus_DAO. There is now Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so about 3 full days as of in an hour from now to finish minting the perpetual stake pools. Those are HEX stake pools of 1 year, 3 year, 7 year, or 10 years. Choose whichever ones you want to join. You mint them each 1 HEX, mints 1 token. Those tokens are base, trio, lucky, or desi.
Huge savings on gas. You earn more yield than staking on your own. And you can cash out at any time. So it's kind of a lot of benefits for all different types of users there. So 3 days left to mint those. Also 3 days left to mint Team. Team is the Maximus DAO team member token. If you want to be on the team with me, Golkey, the rest of the Maximus community, just mint Team. Team earns a little bit of yield from all the pools. And you can mint that 1-to-1 with MAXI. So you need one MAXI to mint one team. So you have 3 days left to do that. So the rest, I mean, right now the day's about to tick over to UTC. So you'll have 3 full days. So 72 hours just about to finish minting. So learn more at maximusdao.com. And yeah, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Boom. There we have it. Thank you both. Hexline, Dipcatcher, props from Crypto Kool-Aid in the chat as we close. Yes, Golkey, you rock as well. And where was it? Hexray Vision, I think, is firing up a stream. So if you would like to join that, head on over. Just YouTube search Hexray Vision in the YouTubes and hop on over and check that out. So that's about all we have for this week. Thank you, everybody. Chat, you guys are awesome once again. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for this, knowledgeable panel again, Patrick, Dipcatcher, for answering, and the great discussion and some of the alpha leak from Patrick that, perhaps a lot of you caught on earlier, about maybe an hour or so ago. So we will leave with that. We will be back. The goal is for the season premiere next week. Maybe some surprises in there. Full panel of our esteemed co-hosts, and we'll see what we come up with for you guys, and can't wait for it. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week.